all year, and today we have an extraordinary episode for you, the prodigy of the unstoppable family, Hanalei Swan. She's been an international fashion designer, she's created several companies, and she has an very remarkable list of things that she's already accomplished, and she's only 13 years old. Welcome to the show, Hanalei.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on today. Thank you.
Fantastic to have you. So you're a prodigy, created so many things, and we've talked a little bit before the show, and you've created some incredible things already. Maybe before we dive into that, let's talk a little bit about your family. They're incredible. They've definitely been supporting you through this process. Tell me a little bit about them.
Yeah, so kind of where it all began was even before I was born.
Yeah.
So it started for a while, my mom and dad, we had a lot of money before I was born. We had a mansion, all these things, kind of living the like American lifestyle, like having that white picket fence lifestyle where, oh, you work a job, then you have a kid, then you're grown up in this big place. And they were kind of preparing me to have a perfect life. And so my mom and dad decided to invest in some real estate, and that ended up leading to us going bankrupt. So had no money in the account. Now we're living on the top of the hill, like literally best place ever, and now we have to lose all of it.
Yeah.
And so then I was born, and they decided we just sell everything and just start to travel, because this has been a dream and something that my mom and dad have been wanting to do for a long time. And my dad was actually taken around the world by his father and shown the world. So he's like, I want to give that to my kid. So we sold everything. My mom and dad started working online, and we started traveling the world. And now around, I think, 56 countries later in 6 continents, here I am.
Wow.
So it's really amazing.
You've had quite the journey.
Yeah.
It seems to be a generational thing from your family.
Yeah.
So here's a perfect example of destroying expectations of raising a child in normal modern society, that you're able to travel the world, able to actually still teach them about the world, give different perspectives, and really grow. And you're a perfect example of this.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like as we've traveled, it's been something where I've really been able to learn from the world, and I've been really able to grow. I feel like it's looking at a different perspective of
Absolutely.
Looking at the world not through textbook, but actually be able to see it.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times, being American and like seeing news and stuff like that, we see so many stereotypes of the earth, and we see so many stereotypes of certain people and different races in different countries, and oh, that place is bad, or oh, this place is good, like putting labels onto things. And I think it's really amazing that I've been able to learn from the earth, and I've been able to learn from the world and meet amazing people like you guys today, where I've really been able to grow and learn from people.
Yeah, that's an incredible experience to have. I remember when you grow up in America, America's the best.
Yeah.
We do everything right. The rest of the world follows our lead.
It's because it's almost in a perspective where it's like how those horses have almost those side
the blinders,
glasses the blinders to look forward. It's like when you're in America, like everything's about America's amazing, America's the best, and it's like the side blinders where you can't see the rest of the world. So I'm grateful that we've been able to travel, and we've been able to open those eyes so we don't have to have those blinders on.
Yeah, that's an experience that I didn't get until I was, I think, 20, after I studied abroad in Thailand, and I was like, whoa, like, this is completely different than everything I've known. Maybe there are different perspectives in the world, so I can't even imagine what it's like to grow up with so many different countries, so many different perspectives right off the back.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Maybe just dive into one of your favorite places that you have been, or where you've taken the most from.
Yeah, so I definitely would say that my favorite place would definitely be Bali.
Yeah.
We're here right now. I've been living here for 5 plus years. I don't even keep count that much.
Yeah.
But I've been living here so long where I consider this my home. And when I left America, I was like only barely even 1 year old. So it's like I never felt like I truly lived there. I felt like kind of I've lived all over the world, and I've always been traveling constantly. So it's like 1 month in one place, another month in the other. And as I've grown up, we started to stay in different countries for longer periods of time. So I definitely say that Bali is our home base now, and I love it because of the culture and the people that it brings. One thing is that, like, I feel like Bali collectively brings different minds and different mindsets. So you kind of got people all around the world all coming for a certain thing and all asking for a certain thing, and then bringing those connections together is what I really love.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, it's taken me 30 years to find this. And you're definitely ahead of the mark on this. But Bali is a magical place. It just brings so many like-minded people together that are, I'd say, the cream of the crop of where they're from.
Yeah.
And you can collaborate, you can create, which I'm sure has opened many doors for you.
Definitely.
And before we get into that, I'm curious, so you've never had a traditional upbringing in America. Do you ever wonder what that's like, or what that would have been like if that were your life?
Yeah, so definitely if we were able to take back my story and look back even before I was born, when my mom and dad were in all of these amazing places and like had a big house and like three cars, dogs and stuff like this, kind of like the perfect American lifestyle that everyone wants, is like, I feel like, to be totally honest, if I were brought up in that space, I feel like I would be very stuck up, and I feel like I wouldn't be open to all the amazing things that we have with the earth. And I feel like I would have been brought up with a lot more materialistic values. And I think that's something that I really appreciate now, is that I was brought up, literally all I had was a suitcase with a few pairs of clothing and just a few sketchbooks so I could draw. And we brought that all around the world. And then every time we would buy new stuff in that place, we would give it back and donate it. Yeah. And I feel like I can definitely see where I could have been, but I don't think I have a clear vision on what could have happened. But I feel like I have lots of friends and family members who live in America, and I've kind of seen the different ways how we process things, and in different ways how we have grown up, and kind of different values we have. And you can see pretty drastically different values and beliefs that are aligned with that.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the way I was growing up, and it took a while of traveling to change that perspective, that you don't need everything that you think you need, the car, the house, all the furniture and name brand luxury items. Yeah, and those are nice, but you don't need them. Yeah. And at the end of the day, doing things like traveling really open your eyes when you can only bring a suitcase. So it really makes you prioritize the things that you need, which is a really profound experience that I think everyone should do. Go travel, come to Bali, go see the world. I think you're a big supporter of that as well. Yeah. Now, growing up in this alternative lifestyle and having incredible parents as you had has been very rewarding and given you lots of opportunity. Tell me some of the challenges that you faced during this time. What has been difficult for you and has been maybe a roadblocker to grow into who you are today? Totally.
So kind of where my story all began, to kind of paint a picture for the people who might be watching, kind of my story is when I was around 7 years old, I got asked, what do I want to be now, instead of what do I want to be when I grow up. Wow. And I think that's a really important thing, because that's kind of what shifted my mindset into what I want to do, into what I want to create. Because I feel like, especially people who are living in America and just places all around the world, kids my age are getting asked every day, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be in the future? And we may think that may be a little bit of not of a harmless statement, but I feel like when I got asked, what do I want to be now, in the present tense, it made me look forward to, I can create, I can make, I can do whatever I want now, and I don't have to wait for it. Because when we put, oh, what do you want to be in the future? It's like putting kind of that social standard of, we have to go to school, we have to go to college, we have to get a job, we have to get married, we have to have kids. Kind of this lifestyle that a lot of people have planned for us, and I feel like we don't get to choose in that sense. And then after you retire, then you can have fun, then you can like do what you want. If you want to be a painter or something, you can do that after. Yeah. Like, you won't have time for it. And so I feel like when we put it in the tense of, you can do something now, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
Of course, our minds are so expansive and we're so much more creative. Like, as we grow up, we start to lose that spark of inspiration, of creativity. So when we're younger, our mind is full of ideas.
Yep.
So immediately when my mom and dad asked me that, I said, I want to be a artist. I want to be a fashion designer. I want to be a videographer, all these things. And I knew from the get-go that I always wanted to be in a creative path and that I wanted to be in a space of creativity. And so I decided, why don't I try fashion? Why don't I try something that's out of my comfort zone and that I've always loved to do, which is like whenever my mom would go shopping, style her, grab clothing for her, do that. And so that's kind of where I started, and with a dream and a mission to be able to want to create what I love now. And especially since my parents are entrepreneurs now, they run their own business online. That's how we can travel now. They definitely taught me a lot of values of being able to create your own business. And they're like, yeah, you're a kid. We're the marketers. Let's help you. Let's make your dreams a reality and help you guide into a space where you don't have to work. You don't have to work a job, and that you can do what you love now. And so I feel like that is what set me up for who I am now, which I'm so grateful for. And yeah, so I started creating fashion and I started creating my designs, and I've had help from a lot of people. My parents, we found people to help create and sew these designs, and I've been able to sell them around the world as I travel. And one thing that kind of changed my perspective with fashion is I started noticing a few things in life. I started noticing things like plastic in the rivers. I started noticing little things like pollution. And it's like when you don't think about it, you don't see it. It's like, oh, think of a red car when you're driving on a street. Now you'll see so many more red cars because now you're aware of it. And so for me, I started thinking about pollution. I started seeing plastic. I'm like, that shouldn't be there. This is a lake, or this is a river. This is the beach. That shouldn't be there. And I started noticing more things like that. And something that I realized is I stayed up researching all night about like plastic and about fast fashion versus slow fashion, which is basically the way we manufacture clothing. And I saw this and I'm like, wait, this is what I want to create. I want to create fashion. But the one thing I don't want to create is pollution. I don't want to create things that hurt the earth. And so one big thing that made me leap and made me go into a new space was learning about that and learning about what happens in the world. And a few facts that I have is like a single cotton t-shirt takes 750 gallons of water to create.
Wow.
And that's drinking water for one person for over 2.5 years.
Just for one t-shirt.
Yeah. And that's for the standard recommended like drinking amount is like for 2 years someone can drink that amount of water.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how fast we're wasting it just by a t-shirt.
Right.
And then big corporations are not paying their workers enough. They outsource to places like India, Bangladesh, China to manufacture cheap and to make prices go up. And it's sad how corporations are taking advantage of, one, the plants and the fabric that we used to make, and two, the people that make them. And they're not paying these workers a living wage. People are dying hundreds a day just from the buildings crashing because they're not being quality checked. So everything is so spaced out where we are not noticing it.
Right.
And people aren't seeing it in the world. They're just seeing a product from H&M or Zara, Forever 21. They're seeing those and they're like, name brands, good. But we really need to dive deep into what our values are held by. And that's something that's been a very important mission to me. But kind of to answer your question, because I went off a tangent to kind of like show kind of where I'm at and what I've created to make sure that they can understand like these are the things I've dealt with. And so to answer your question, some struggles that I've had and some struggles that I've dealt with creating my company. Some of the struggles that I've had is that I feel like it's mainly been me. I feel like I've been so grateful to be able to work with my parents, to be able to find amazing people to network with and to create this business with, and I've had so much support. But I feel like as I've grown up, my parents have been filming and have been making videos, and we've been doing inspirational videos ever since I was like born, 6 years old, to like now we still make content like that. We've always been on social media. And so one thing that happened was I would go to school everywhere I traveled to. I never wanted to homeschool.
So
I always wanted to feel rooted into a place.
Yeah.
So whenever we traveled, I'd enroll in a new school. And one of the schools that I went to, I stayed there for a while, and I started getting bullied. And I felt like I was getting pushed aside in a lot of the moments, and that really lowered my self-esteem. And we can look at it as like getting bullied may not be a big deal, but to like someone who's maybe not had as much trauma in their life, that one source of trauma can be super expansive to the whole rest of their life.
Right. You're more
and
susceptible to it.
Yeah. And it's like an example, maybe your biggest thing that could have happened was way worse than maybe a kid losing their pet goldfish or their pet goldfish dying. But to that kid, they've never had any other source of trauma. So that pet goldfish dying is the worst thing that ever happened to them in their life. And so just to put it in perspective of our years and how we've grown up, it's really thinking about that and really working with that. So one thing that happened to me, I got bullied. And some of the kids at my school would play my videos of when I was a baby, or like when I was like 6 or something, of me doing an inspirational video or something. They would put it on the school projector. And so then all the kids would laugh at me.
Bring attention and make fun of you, more or less.
Yeah. And so it was really sad because now I associated creating videos with kids laughing at me. And so it's that association in the mind.
It's hard to break that trauma once it gets repeated over and over.
So for a while, I stopped creating videos. I stopped making content. And then people would not like my artwork, or they would laugh at my artwork. Stopped creating artwork. Stopped doing the things that made me happy. And as we grow up, I feel like there's a lot of people that will nitpick you and that will bring you down with what you create, and will say things like, say little comments that are like, oh, that shirt doesn't look good on you, or oh, maybe you should change your hair, or like little things like that, which make us feel insecure and then make us want to change. Because now we associate, oh, if I have my hair like this, then people are not going to like me. And so it's that association with negative emotions.
Causes you to conform with other people, which loses your spark and your creativity.
It's that conformity. That's what puts us into the space of we need to do this. We need to go to school, go to college, get a job, have a family. It's that conformity that puts us all into that space. And so I dealt with when I was getting bullied, I felt really sad, and I felt like I didn't have any inspiration to create anything. And I still deal with a lot of self-esteem issues, even to this day, from little things like that I feel like I've passed away from, that aren't a part of my life anymore. But I feel like that was definitely a pretty big thing for me. And kind of bringing myself down slowly, almost feeling like the Titanic, like it. But instead of having the iceberg there, it's just I'm steering the ship into the water. And it was my emotions that were getting the best of me. And I've learned, and I'm learning in the process, to just remember to do what I love and to be me. And I think that's the most important thing, is that
the key to life right there.
Key to life is that instead you don't need to be like anyone else. You don't need to conform. Do what makes you happy. If that's artwork, if that's travel, if that's creating a garden, do what makes you happy. And I feel like a main thing with my parents is that they only wanted me to be happy. So they guided me into a space where I could be happy, so I didn't have to work a job. I didn't have to do any things. I could create a business off of what made me happy.
And I think that's something so powerful, especially to learn. I mean, unfortunately, you had to go through the bullying situation to kind of understand this, but many people get bullied or they get treated and then they conform and they lose that spark within them. But it's really, especially as you grow older, the unique people, the people who stand on their own, that really are destined to make a difference in other people, in their own life. They're enjoyable, and then as a result, they attract other people of the same caliber, which is quite incredible.
Yeah.
Now, you've talked about some conformity with the other students. Now, how do you feel about some conformity with your parents? I'm sure they pressure you to do things that you may not necessarily want to do, or maybe you do. I'm sure there's some aspirations. I want to meet their expectations. I want to provide. I want to do a high caliber, and I want to do everything and live up to my expectations. How do you deal with that on that level?
Yeah, so I feel like with my parents, I feel like, I keep on saying I feel like, but I really believe that as I've grown up, they've made sure that I have choice in everything.
Yeah, good.
Ever since I was really young, they would always let me choose anything. So it's like, oh, do you want to eat at the pizza restaurant, or do you want to go get tacos? And I would be like, I want to get pizza. So like little small things, including choice, because with kids, a lot of the time we get shunned down into, or like, oh, I'll make the decisions, just do whatever, and not letting them have choice in things. And I think introducing being able to have the choice and being able to let your kid choose will make them way more independent for the future.
Absolutely.
And not make sure they have to rely on them, rely on their parents.
Right.
So I think that's definitely something that has helped me so much, is that having that choice. But of course, I feel like there has been some things where I feel like I've had to live up to their expectations, or I've had to do certain things, or like, oh, am I making them proud? Because I feel like all I want to do is make people proud. And I've been realizing that it's not about making other people proud, it's about making myself proud. And so totally just learning to be proud of myself and not have other people influence my decisions. But I feel like I'm still dealing with that, and I'm still processing that. It's a process.
You're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, but
I'm still learning it. Everyone's still learning that one.
Yeah, it's hard to learn how to just let go of other people's opinions.
Yeah. Well,
Not
you have to
letting
value
it affect
some
them.
sense. We're in a community, we're in a society.
Taking the ones that are valued and taking the ones that are criticism or praise and using that, but letting go of the stuff that are like just negative comments just to be negative. I feel like I've been on social media for a while where I've seen a lot of negative comments that's come my way. Like people have said like, oh, this kid, it's all made up. Her whole life is a lie. I'm like, my whole life is a lie, then how am I here right now? So I've dealt with and I've learned to process things, and I've learned to go with the flow and go with the journey. And I'm definitely dealing with a lot of like learning how to let go of that praise and learning how to let go of relying on people and not feeling like I'm at my highest point, or, oh, if I don't do this, they're not going to be proud of me. Oh, if I do this, they're not going to be happy. And learning just to live by myself and live in my own space of happiness.
Right.
So.
Words of wisdom right there.
Yeah.
So let's unpack the last 10 minutes. You've had a lot of words of truth there, and an incredible story about even starting with the understanding of not what you're going to do, but what you're going to be is a huge human truth of learning to live in the moment and not just what is going to happen in the future. Especially as a kid, I think when I was your age, I was skateboarding and playing Pokemon cards, not thinking about creating businesses and being successful and doing the things that I wanted to do.
Well, even now I surf and skateboard.
Oh, perfect, good. All right, so you're still a kid.
I'm still a kid.
Yeah,
I still
don't
have
ever
fun.
grow up.
I'm not just a business person or guru or whatever you want to call me. I have a whole group of friends where I go surfing almost every other day.
Keep doing that. Don't ever lose that.
Yeah.
And so with this question that you were asked is, what do you want to be? You've unpacked it into something that you want to create some of that fire within you, and you said fashion. This is an area of my life that I want to be in. It fuels me, it makes me excited. I'm doing it for me. And what I found remarkable is that you still considered the bigger environment and the ecosystem with the trash and the waste, and how are we sustainably going to create these products. And because previously, over the past 50, 100 years, it's all been produce, make things at whatever cost. What's our bottom line? How are we going to make money?
Yeah.
And we'll figure out the waste and the trash later, which is now falling onto your generation to figure out.
The past generation is putting it on to
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So we'll deal with it.
Right.
And it's realizing, especially in this generation, wait, there's big problems with our ecosystem and our Earth, and if we actually want to live on this planet, we got to fix this planet first.
Absolutely. So to see you taking steps forward into that is quite incredible. And to even have that recognition of how to approach that is quite incredible. So you've created this business, this fashion business, and it's been successful. You were on Shark Tank.
I wasn't on Shark Tank, but I got pitched by a Shark Tank and one of the investors who's worked with Shark Tank.
So you were in the funnel of the Shark Tank and got pitched and turned that down because you wanted to focus on your sustainability
and not compromise my values.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like what I can't remember the saying, but there's like a little example of like, oh, the devil, like, oh, I can give you all these things, but at what cost?
Uh-huh.
And it's like you can have the amazing life you live, but you have to compromise your values.
Absolutely.
That was kind of like how I saw it, and we ended up turning it down because I'm like, the whole point why I started this was to make myself happy. It doesn't mean I have to be successful, but to be able to like help the environment at least a little bit at a time. And if I'm totally compromising that just for fame and for greed, I'm like, what is the point of it then?
Absolutely, right. And I can relate to that too, as I've been the last decade and a half, I was in business and I saw some of the ugly sides of business and it's like, I don't know if I want to be in this, just morally, just environmentally. This is not a path to a sustainable future. So kudos to you for taking that path and following your heart, which has now led you to a successful business. And I hear you're growing another one. Maybe tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right now I'm working on a new company called Unify, Masks and Apparel. And when the coronavirus hit and when this pandemic hit, it was really scary because we were almost having to let go of all of our employees and having to shut it down. But because now we don't have any people who are buying our stuff, now we don't have any money that's coming in, so it's almost like bleeding money.
Right.
But we decided, instead of shutting it down, to pivot. And we realized that we can change what our direction is. We can keep the company, just put it in a new direction where it's what people need. We can help people even more, and that's my want, to be able to help people and to either help our earth, help people, help our ecosystem. And so we started creating something called Unify Masks and Apparel, where we created face masks.
Amazing.
With the fabric we had.
Actually, on the ride over here, I was thinking, I wonder if she makes face masks.
Yeah.
So, perfect.
Yeah, and so we're creating that so it can be functionally fabulous.
Yeah.
So you can have super colorful, fun prints all on your face mask and kind of share your personality with what you create, and then also keeping a little bit of the sustainability for some of the bags that we use. We use recycled plastic, and we use things like the liner on the inside. We use bamboo.
Great.
And so incorporating that fun and incorporating the eco-friendly side of it to be able to kind of balance that out, and especially being able to help people. Especially now with everything going on.
That's incredible. So
and now we've provided over hundreds of jobs for people on this island.
Oh wow!
So
wow! So
we can really help people.
It's not just you; you're empowering other people too.
Totally.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you're really following the principle of adapt or die, which is in business you have to adapt to the changing world, and we've all been thrown this curveball of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And you got to experience some of the downsides of business, which I'm sure you had the highs when it was going great. Now you've had the lows, and now it's not letting it freeze you. You're moving forward.
Yeah, just moving forward,
Absolutely.
moving right back on up.
And that's something, you're going to face opportunities in your life. We all do. It's how you approach them and use that momentum to carry you forward, which makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
And so you've created this business, Unify, in Bali, and it's going to be situated in Bali.
And then we can share all across the world. We're shipping them worldwide. So.
And one of the things we talked about earlier was Bali bringing together so many like-minded people and people like yourself, other influential people in the world. How has this helped shape your business?
I feel like it's amazing because we've had so many like-minded people who have been able to help us. I have a business partner, her name is Jessica, and she's been helping me with all the fun creative designs and putting the business in place. And it's kind of a merge of both of our companies to be able to create something super fun.
Okay, so she has a company
Yeah,
too,
she has
as well?
a company
Okay.
as well. And so we've pivoted both of our companies to create one.
Amazing.
And it's that partnership and it's that collaboration and then finding amazing people like you guys who have been able to share this platform and who have been able to share this. And it's really incredible about how individual and how amazing in what people create and what people are able to make.
Right. Yeah, and you're taking that next step forward.
Yeah.
I'm excited to check in on you in 10 years and
Yeah.
see what you're creating and have built by then.
Totally.
Speaking of what you're doing and being now, what are your other interests? You have fashion, you said skateboarding, surfing.
Yeah.
Are you focused primarily on those, or are you still exploring other areas of your life that you maybe want to dive into?
Yeah, so at heart, I feel like I'm an artist.
Okay.
So I create my own artwork. Later this month, I'm going to do a challenge where I draw every single day and create a new piece of artwork every single day. And so I create a lot of fun characters, and I put a lot of meaning and I put a lot of love into these creations. So at heart, I feel like I'm an artist, and then I use kind of what I love, each little thing that are an extension of artwork. So fashion is an extension of artwork, painting, all these things, and kind of at heart keeping that value of I want to create, I want to make, I want to be a creative. And so kind of expanding that into different spaces that are out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And so I've been recently have been surfing a lot. So I've been having fun in the ocean, learning how to longboard. And then, so I've been artwork has been my main thing right now.
Yeah, so you're a creative individual at heart.
Yeah.
And you're finding these different avenues to express yourself.
Totally.
Now, most creative people, not all, but most creative people are very in the clouds and not so much grounded. They're thinking about creating, not necessarily about business, and it's just very flowy, as I'm sure you've met people like this.
Yeah.
Now you seem very grounded. Where did you get this business and logical, and where did you learn all these skills?
Yeah, so my parents are very going through business and very I would say creative and more of the analytical side or more of like the business making side.
Absolutely.
And I feel like I don't know how they've given birth to an artist and like a super I want to draw and I want to paint, because last time I saw my mom paint it didn't come out in the best way. I love you though, but I'm gonna say I already know I didn't get my talents from them. But I feel like it's that merge of having my super creative side and having me just want to paint all day, and then being able to have my parents' side where I want to. It's like what my dad always says is it's like an 80-20. So 80% you're creating and making that, or it's like a 50-50. 50% of the time you're creating, the other 50% of the time you're marketing. And so it's having that balance, because it's you don't want to be that starving artist. You want to be able to be able to create, and then you want to be able to have people to see that. So it's learning how to balance. And so if I want to be an artist, I got to be a marketer.
Absolutely.
So it's learning that.
It's incredible that you've learned that, because most people live in one side of the world. They're very creative, no money, or all business, no creativity. So you've been able to fuse those two worlds together, which is quite incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. And to see, if you haven't checked it out, we've interviewed both of her parents on separate episodes. They're incredible, and to see what they've instilled in you is quite powerful.
Thank you.
Now, you've got a lot of this experience from this alternative lifestyle of traveling, and do you have any more aspirations to continue traveling, or are you pretty grounded here in Bali and want to focus on you and growth, and
Yeah, so, right now I don't think I'm traveling anytime soon with what's happening in the world and how the borders are closed and stuff. Traveling has always been a part of me. I've been having a lot of FOMO right now from not being able to visit new countries, and this is actually the longest I feel like I've stayed in one place, so it feels very weird. So, like, longest I've stayed in Bali and stuff, it's been over, I think, 8 months by now or something. Because usually during a normal year, we travel and go to America to like go to Burning Man, speak at a bunch of.
You've been to Burning Man.
Yeah. I forced my parents to come with me.
Oh yeah, they went.
Yeah, I did a whole presentation and pitched them on it.
Okay.
So like usually we would
I'll
go
join
to
your camp. I'm in.
Yeah. So usually we'd go to Burning Man, and then I would speak at like maybe 5 different events, and then we would travel to like places like Australia and go there, and mainly it's just been guided by speaking around the world. And then being able to visit people and create different places. And it's been fun.
So you're not burnt out from that. You still want to explore.
No,
good.
Like literally my future goal when I'm older is to be able to buy my own van and just travel around the country and just go surfing at a bunch of different places. So that's my end goal. So
That's amazing. Yeah, yes.
Totally.
Wow, you've got the full package. You are traveler, fashionista, creator, businesswoman, burner, surfer. You've got it all going on. You're definitely ahead of the curve for your age range, and for most people, I think all of us in this room. So happy to have you on the show. It's really awesome to hear your story about how you've gone through this transformation in only 13 years of your life. I am beyond excited to see what happens in the next 10, 20, and just to see what you create and what you come up with. And you've done an incredible job just living your life to being you and being your fullest potential, which I think is something that we can all learn from. And so you're definitely a source of inspiration for others with kids themselves, Michael, Paul, I mean, even your mom, I'm for sure, is inspired by you. So thank you for being on the show, sharing your journey with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. This is the Rat Race Rebellion podcast. I'm Brent Collier. This is Hanalei Swan. This is an incredible episode. If you haven't checked it out, we have both of her parents in previous episodes. The whole family is incredible. So take a listen, and thanks for watching.
Be unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Well done, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you. Nice.
Nice work.